Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Coach Curtis Bourne, on this afternoon edition of Fire for Liberty. This is, once again, of course, the acceleration of the human age, Golden Age, Enlightenment Age, and Renaissance. For some reason, it was cut off, the last broadcast cut off in the middle of the explanation of the dream. So I was explaining about basically simple reiterations of one. Materialization and dematerialization, rematerialization, and actually, I'm not going to go into that. That's very, very. I'll mention it briefly, and I'll call it. I'll go to that in a bit. But let's just call it, for one, the things that do exist, and then the things that don't exist in creating and stuff like that. Now. So I was explaining the dream. Dream is of course training, because we're on other realms, other densities. Once again, our higher selves are definitely one of our most. Well, they're our higher selves, so of course they're our best trainers. So, I was about to jump into the water. It was the train. It went into the water. I don't know what it was, why the water was so dark and murky, but it's really dark and murky. So I went in. And I tried to illuminate myself, and that was, it was still really hard to see. Still very, very hard to see. First of all, just before I was jump into the water, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds, I'd fully rejuvenated myself. Or I said fully rejuvenate myself, but I fully prepared myself. It's probably like 4 seconds just to say, like, okay, I'm gonna need to be able to breathe underwater, which I know I can do. And this was, it's definitely. Was very realistic, is very realistic, will be very, because it's, once again, there's no such thing as time. It is very realistic. So I got, prepped myself, got ready. Then I went in. And it kind of didn't feel like I was wet. So I went swimming, but I can still swim, like swim water, like it's, that weightlessness kind of thing. Couldn't see, rethought how I see, because I emanated a body from myself, trying to think I can make myself really bright, but that didn't work. So I just changed the way I saw, and that means I was able to. It was like a combination of infrared night vision, echolocation, because I was able to see details even more specific, but I can still see that it was dark, but it was also kind of like heat sensing and also light. Like light coming from my eyes. So instead of taking in light, it's light protruding from the eyeballs. So anyway, I swam to the train, explored the entire train, to get the person that was inside. And the person was recovered. I was in there for a while. The water, I was able to hold my breath indefinitely, which I can do now. And I could... I could like breathe. I can breathe underwater, but I can do either or. That's why how easy it was. And it was like I had so much oxygen. It was like it didn't matter if I breathe or not. It was totally different. It was very, very different. I had so much oxygen in my body. That's kind of what I think it was. I felt like I could breathe. I was breathing while I was breathing. Like I had lungs that were breathing oxygen while, like I think that's what it is, which is very, very fundamental part of ascension. That is actually something I'm glad I thought, and actually am kind of was glad it got cut off at that point. I didn't mention this in the last broadcast. I was. It was taking the voice. But it's the fact that we can convert our breath straight into oxygen when we're underwater. Because who do we help? Or what do we normally think of when we have CO2? Trees. Because those are the sentient... Whoa. Okay. That is trippy. That is so trippy. I mean, that if that wasn't a home run, I don't know what was. First of all, love that interview. Very, very great interview with and I wanted, and I'll probably speak about it for a very long time because that was brilliant. I mean, we thought that. Anyway, it's about paradigm changes, and that's what's so cool, you know, that and it's the key things in life, and if we remember it is I mean, it's just awesome, okay, and I love highlights. It's about creating history, making history. That's what we do. We make history. So one thing, and I'll probably and that's cool because once again, I change history every day. Anyway, in a positive way, I'm so cool. I'm so freaking awesome. I love being me. Okay, first of all, major one was what's his name? Darn it. He has his own show. Of course he is. The Rogan Experience. So him and Alex Jones. Oh yeah, I'm putting that on blast now. It's cool. It was very awesome. And then of course the Alex Jones and Trump, and then the Michael or Doctor, excuse me, Doctor Michael Sala, the Unknown Lightworker, and Cobra. And there's definitely a lot more. There's definitely more, and of course, all my broadcasts are just awesome because I'm a light worker of Heavenescent creatorship. I'm awesome. So huge. I am absolutely loved everything about that. I'm actually gonna make some notes and learn some stuff, and continue to explain and once again accelerate the mission, all the missions that we do. And also, the important part of the fact that, because one thing, we have to accelerate the missions. It'll be so much cooler, dude. The stuff, the missions that I have, they're good. But I don't want these missions to take as long as that they're taking. I want these missions to be accomplished so we can do these awesome things and really, really explore the limitlessness of our entire being. So, and I've explored that. I'm exploring that, freely because I know I have free will. Anyway, and that's just kind of common sense too, and that's what's supposed to happen. It's supposed to be more common sense that we are free will. Now, so the breathing thing, the fact that we're unity, which also means I don't even have to say the next sentence, but we're united with trees and with plant beings, and that's kind of obvious. And it's an important balance because they do a lot of the cleaning of the air. They do a lot of cleaning in the air, and that's ultimately at the same time because plants don't drown. Plants don't drown, so we do have a lot to learn from them. I noticed that I do have these dreams after touching trees. Anyway, so it's something that just can be easily learned. Other thing is, just the ability that, once again, I was in the middle of explaining this. So we take our own oxygen. We're breathing our own oxygen when we're underwater. We breathe CO2 because it's a beautiful balance with plants who create oxygen. They are our oxygen. So now what we do is we are one, for example, with ourselves, and for example, can even think of ourselves as plants. I'm thinking photosynthesis, and for example, we make our own oxygen. It felt like, here's just definitely what it felt like. It felt like I can hold my breath indefinitely. And it felt like I could breathe underwater too. And it was just as much oxygen. But I didn't even need to breathe because it's like you're always taking a breath. That's kind of what it felt like. But my mouth was closed. It's like I wasn't breathing through my mouth. It was interesting. So I explored the train. I was definitely underwater for probably like 5-6 minutes, just exploring. Because for some reason, also as well, I believe there's also a time shift or a certain type of stage of evolution that went on. It wasn't covered in, like coral and stuff, but things looked different. And it didn't even look like it was, it looked like it traveled into a, interesting. It looked like it traveled into another dimension, but it's the same train, but it was another dimension. So it was the same. It was the same train. Oh, I don't know how to explain this. It's so weird. It was the same train, but it was not in this. The things were not in the same location. It was different, and it looked really cool. I mean, it looked like a very nice, like a luxury thing, but it wasn't luxury like luxury. It was just luxury as in I don't know, as in like a house you haven't seen before. Like it looks new, It's on. It was that, except it was totally different from when the train, before the train entered the water, and it wasn't as in. I mean, it were somewhat kind of crash signs, but it was a different train, and it seemed longer as well too. Anyway, so once again, so we saved the person, and then we got help, and then he was healed, and all that stuff. Well, I mean, I didn't see. I went to do another part of my mission in that dream, which was sitting at a round table conference. It was I knew everything. It was all till I knew everything, and that's the thing. Like I knew what they're talking about, but it was like, it's like, okay, it was kind of like this. It's like they go through the steps of, for example, babysitting. The babysitter knows exactly what all the steps are and knows exactly what to do. But at the table, they're explaining like a process of something that's just for one can do. And here's the thing: I was able to do it telepathically, and and here's the thing that I also mentioned today. I'll get back to it. Was just change everything, and I'll explain that in a bit. Meaning, basically, I time shift things. So I'll explain that in a little bit. So, where was I going with this? The fact of the matter of the fact that I was at this conference, this long table conference. I knew all those beings there, even though I'd never seen them before. I knew all the beings there. I knew them everything. I knew everything about them. And it was everything I knew. I knew everything they were going to say. I knew everything that they were thinking. So it was a two-way conversation, a two-part conversation, two-way conversation. It was communication because I didn't really say much. I didn't say anything. I don't think, because it was like I knew everything that was being talked about, and I could communicate telepathically. Meaning, and I used to think like that, or I used to think like in this way. For example, and about to follow, or the following statement. English language is a little bit slow. It's not as fast as thought. But telepathy is, instantaneous. It's known. It's, for example, pictures and all that stuff. So, anyway, that was that dream. And the other thing I was going to go into, that was cut off at the end of the previous broadcast. It was 14:45 or 13:45 today. Was reanimation, or excuse me, or materialization, dematerialization, and rematerialization. So dematerialization is very, very easy. I was just meditating. Here's one example of me doing dematerialization, and it's quite easy. And I'll explain the science behind it too, or what I understand of the science behind it. And it's already proven, and it'll make sense. It'll be proven again. And I think it's important so that we can continue to accelerate and advance these missions because we seriously need to. 1, because it's fun. 2, because it's awesome. And 3, because it's important because Gaia's it's at stake. And 4, we don't need these anyway. Actually, I'm just being really positive about it. I'll finish my sentence though. I was just gonna say we don't need which is kind of silly. We don't need the dark to balance the light. What I mean to say is we need balance, but at the same time, we do have a responsibility to this planet, and we will balance light with light. Isn't that awesome? See how I did that there? Anyway. So, I mean, heavenescently, like heavenescent balance. Anyway. Creation. Creationalistical manifestation. Is a massive, amazing, important part of manifestation, meaning the creationalistical aspects of what can be created is important with oneness. So, and I just give the explanation right there, the introduction, and I just kind of gave that, just random, just thought, or not just random. It wasn't random, but just kind of floating of the mind. Anyway, meditation. I was meditating. I was closing my eyes. I didn't need my glasses. Glasses were on my lap because I was closing my eyes while I was meditating. It was a very, very long meditation session. It's probably about 45 minutes, hour. It felt like 15 minutes, especially like halfway through the meditation. Time drastically seemed to slow down, or speed up, or slow down, or no time. Anyway. So I finished my meditation, and then my glasses were gone. And they weren't buried where I was sitting in the sand, and it wasn't anywhere around. They were just gone. So that's one dematerialization example. I've done that so many times, so many times. I can also just do energy signatures. To find things, and I can locate it wherever it is, no matter where it is around the world. I think it's electromagnetic signature, something like that. I can do, which is one thing I didn't want to mention, but I'm going to mention anyway, which is a type of animation, and it's interesting. And I say it's not a good thing only because there's no such thing. Okay, it is a good thing. Why? Because there is such thing as positive. What's the opposite of? It's courage. That's the word. It's courage. So I'm gonna have the courage to speak this because it's really awesome, and it's called animation. So I did that a lot when I was younger. Because there's many reasons why. But the main reason is just to create life. It is very, very simple to me. So I literally create life. I literally create life. I can create animals. I can create beings. I can just manifest them. And that's what I call, that's what manifestation is, or materialization. And that's what kind of a little bit goes into rematerialization. Now, what I mean by rematerialization, and it's also kind of, here's the other thing too, is switching of objects. So if there's it's materialization of a certain object, and I do that a lot just to make things easier to find. And I do that, for example, when I do a thing like crunching time, and I rapidly accelerate like timelines, for example. That's actually kind of what it is. So it's like, for example, if I have I want to get just a hat. I want to get a hat and sunglasses. Hat is in the kitchen, sunglasses is in the bedroom upstairs, for example. I just want the hat, for example. I just materialize the hat where the glasses were, and the glasses go to where the hat was, and then I just take the hat, and that whole process of action is materialization. Rematerialization is kind of what abundance manifestation is. Now, abundance manifestation, of course, is kind of like a double repetitive phrase, It's like you can't really have abundance manifestation because abundance already is abundance, and so you can't. I mean, you can manifest abundance, but abundance is already abundance. So abundance manifestation is I guess a thought form to kind of easily understand how to manifest things. So do that with that's kind of what I think of as rematerialization, to rematerialize something that you need. So that could be I did that with practicing with you can do that with you can practice in so many ways. You can do that with just with memory, for example, as in like a map. Like when you memorize a map, you can practice the memories, or not practice the memories, but you can materialize what you know is going to happen, if that makes sense. Which actually just might be precognition. I'll probably just call it precognition. Clairvoyance. Clairaudience. Anyway. Clairessence. So, the other part of what I was mentioning in the previous broadcast that got cut off is the fact of basically, the one of the main things, which is an important part of integration of light, is just how those memories, multidimensionality memories of meaning, I call it multidimensionality, but or what could also be called higher self, just our memories, for example, of being on other planets or just going to those realms, that going back to Earth, which I'm saying, come to Earth, come to Earth, come to Earth. This is where you want to be. Come here, light warriors, whatever, light beings, come to Earth. This is like the place to be. And so, I literally send that call out because it's about to go down. And it's going to be so awesome. Why do I say that? Because we got the cabal hightailing it. We're going to take, once again, ownership of our skies. There's going to be so much new information about history that we didn't know before. There's going to be so much awareness about ourselves. This is so important, so key, and so exciting. And such a monumental time to be living it. And that's kind of why I mentioned the acceleration of our potential and all that jazz. We have an amazing, important part. All of us, and that's what I mentioned, responsibility. We need to take responsibility because these missions are awesome. It's all we do is we just remember our missions. It's pretty cool being a creative being. And it's not just remembering missions; it's just knowing the missions, doing them, and then accomplishing them. I want to ramp it up. I want to accelerate the process of truly, of the event taking place, motherships landing and all that stuff. There's more positivity going on. So let's just ramp up the light. Once again, light being light tools. I was something actually I just found out today I'm going to mention. There's another thing that I found out that I also wanted to mention. Pretty sure it had something to do with something. It was the fact of the matter that has to do with light manifestation. Pretty sure it was about dream manifestation. Well, anyway, some of the missions that can be done that are that can go on and all that stuff is the necessary sort of one, necessary projects that need to be underway. Two, just the fact that light is very, very powerful force, and love is even stronger because love is the speed of light squared, and speed of love squared is the speed of heart. The heart is is a diamond light thing that literally explodes consciousness, meaning it's an actual it's an actual science. Implosion, fractal implosion, I want to call it. I also wanted to get into the science. Oh, right, the science of dematerialization. That's what I was going to get into. So when you reduce the mass, or you have negative mass, then okay, let's just start with negative mass. Negative mass means things float. It's kind of like what we consider anti-gravity, for example. And so it reduces the mass and it makes it weightless. It makes it weightless, and it's the opposite of mass. Because and so when mass goes to zero, that's when invisibility occurs, and it seems to disappear or dematerialize, and that's how you can create. Because it's the same thing with creating. You're and that's how we move photons and all that stuff. And that's how suns work, for example. They just exist, for example, because of the plasma nodes and stuff like that. So I'm not going to get into too much detail about the sun because that's already explained. I don't want to micromanage and stuff like that. Anyway, because the sun, it's just plasma anyway. I'm not going to get into the sun too much. Anyway, so the force. So this force of just reducing the mass using materialization. That's how you create, and that's how replicators work. That's basically how replicators work. Replicators already exist, and that's how starships are made and stuff like that. That's how the good ones are made. I mean, you can make them from scratch, but starships aren't just hunks of material. They're living beings. They're living. They're alive. I mean, just look at the Athena. Just look at I can't wait. And I say that I can't wait, but we really, and that's what's going on, which is very good news. I mean, if you know what I'm talking about, I didn't even have to fill in the blanks. I mean, we're doing this, and once again, if you want to incarnate here, that's awesome. But once again, we do things in the physical, which is cool. Anyway, where was I? Incarnation of being in the physical and just materialization, and of course, if you didn't know what I was talking about galactic family, our star family, which of course goes to well beyond many. We're huge, all right. We're huge. It goes beyond many other galaxies, and all this is being revealed. So it doesn't even anyway. It's very good news. It's victory, constant victory. We're always winning. So that's good news. Now, many positive things are going on about the types of manifestation, just with the understanding of our own beings, which is very important. Lots of good news. What's important is just that we remember. Well, I say remember, but just that we think for ourselves. What do I mean by that? We do need to think and remember that, for example, we are divine beings. We are sentient beings. We are heavenate beings. We are heavenescent beings. We are light beings, etc. Very important that we, continue to create and manifest and change the world, make it a better place. And this is your host, Christopher Marcus Bonds, afternoon edition of Fire of Liberty. So, that's been done, Tesla. I'm pretty sure Tesla dematerialized atoms. If not, then he definitely, made them float. Or there's multiple experiences and many people who have done that, may reduce them or negative mass of objects and stuff like that. That's how and of course plasma craft work that way, and of course there's so many motherships, and there's so much stuff that we have yet to experience. There's so much potential in us So once again, there's a lot of work to do, a lot more missions to do, and the cool thing is that I'm not gonna. It's an unlimited way in which we wish to interact or involve ourselves in this, because one, we are unlimited. Two, we're unstoppable, and three, we're just one. We're one. We are oneness. We are light. So we're immense. Okay, we're immense. I'm making it as simple as possible. We're so immense, and it's really, really coming more and more and more often. I just know things before I know things, meaning I'm attracting. I mean, a law of attraction, sure, yeah, it's a real thing. It's also just electromagnetism as well, which is a very positive thing. Other thing is, lots of paradisical change. Or excuse me, lots of paradisical evanescent anchoring, meaning there's a lot of, which is very cool thing that I do. Just as a reference point, so people can keep their references or keep their bearings and all that stuff. To continue to ascend in light, and and of course I can transmute anything. I'm transformational and transfigurational and all that stuff. So this is your host, Christopher M. Curtis Bowen, of this afternoon edition of Fire of Liberty, created being, being of light, being of love, created being of heaven essence, essence incarnate, love incarnate, because love is definitely real. Being of transformation, being of leadership, leading, guardian angel of light, guardian angel of creation, of manifestation, of peace, paradisical prosperity, abundance, lots of abundance, not just prosperity but abundance, and limitlessness. Love you all.